Hey everybody, this is Enrico and I am back again on your computer screens because you're seeing me once again. Hopefully you're subscribed. If not, subscribe. Like this video. If something I say in here resonates with you. This channel is mostly about East Asian news, current events, as well as pop culture and me just giving my opinion. Japan, I love you so dearly. But there's always something that we actually already know deep down about Japan, but it's like we get little hints of it, and these hints lead to a bigger issue that's at its core. And it's about segregation. We can say cultural insensitivity. I don't like using the other word that a lot of people like to jump to because I do feel like that many people in this age jump to that conclusion, and that's a very strong accusation. I like to say cultural insensitive first, and then if we see some other stuff where it's just like, okay, you going down that dark path where you just don't believe that I should exist, then we'll say that it's the other word. But there's this Japanese hotel in Tokyo that is preparing for the Olympic Games, and on the outside of all of this there's corona and the cases are growing again. So this hotel got this bright idea, this brilliant idea, to put notes onto elevators. Oh my God! A moment of silence. Come on. We all know what this was going to lead to. And the backlash was faster than Superman. It was swift. Faster than the Flash. Faster than Ultraman. People were not having it because they were very confused. They were saying, so this was coming from Japanese people mostly, and they were saying, so you're saying that Japanese people can't use the foreigner elevator and vice versa? What is this? We are confused. Please tell me this isn't discrimination, because it's a big no-no. Oh no, you didn't. When Japanese people feel like that you're making Japan as a whole look bad, they will pull out the swords and shields and they will jump on it. They'll be ready to fight you, box you, knock you out. Like, you cannot make Japan as a whole look bad. You can't make them seem like that they don't like foreigners, because it just makes them not have money. Like, it messes with their money, it messes with their overall image, and they want tourists to come and try on the kimonos and eat the food and have a really good time and see Japan as a nice tranquil place. But you have to wonder, if Japan is such a nice tranquil place all the time, or at least it looks like that on the outside, where did this whole idea of segregation come from? Now hold on. I saw some comparisons to Jim Crow. That's too much. That's extreme. Do I think that they really meant to be very insensitive? I don't think that they did, but it's still, sometimes it's not always the intent, it's just the overall action of what happens, and I do think that it did a lot of damage, and it made many people feel like they are once again in the other category. And we have so many different instances with, like, people not wanting to sit next to you on the subway, or people not wanting you to go into certain places because their excuse is always, well, foreigners get rowdy when they're drunk and Japanese people don't do that. But meanwhile, I'm looking at Japanese culture, and this is a culture where literally they will let a businessman be drunk out of his mind and lay sprawled out on the subway. He'll be in the floor on the subway, on the seats in the subway, in the alleyway, in the street, and people just look at it and it's normal. But foreigners are supposed to be the rowdy ones. To me, when you get drunk, you're drunk. Everything comes out. Everybody gets rowdy when they're drunk. But this is an excuse that they use. I really believe that many Japanese people do see foreigners as this different species. There's someone that is so far away, planets away from them, even though we are all human beings. But they do try to differentiate the difference, and they do try to separate because they feel like, this is still Japan, and Japan is Japanese. Japan is for Japanese people. But we don't mind you coming in. It's just that that's the way that it is. So this sign brought all of this out. And I really do have to wonder if it hadn't been for Japanese people speaking out on this, had it been really a big deal and had they actually would have changed the sign. Because it makes me sad. Because Japanese people definitely spoke out on it, and it changed everything and the whole dynamic of it. But there were foreigners talking, but I don't think that the foreigner voices were as big as the Japanese people that were mostly confused because they felt like it was an inconvenience to them. They're like, well, why can't we just use whatever elevator that we want to use? It's like we just want to get to our hotel rooms. And also, a foreigner can be an Asian person, could be a Japanese person that's born in America, right? So how would they be able to tell the difference? Would they consider a Japanese person also just a part of Japanese people? It's like, but they're Japanese American. It's very confusing. I think a lot of people would see it as something that's very weird and confusing. And I do think that overall, regardless of the intent of trying to separate people because of Corona, Japan has to also take accountability for the actions that they did during Corona. So they're the ones that decided to open things up early. They're the ones that decided to start having concerts. They're the ones that decided to let people go into bars again when there's still many people in Japan that have not had the vaccine yet. Go figure, right? So we also have to consider this as well, don't we? So, there's a lot of accountability that has to be taken. There needs to be people that are a bit more careful with signs they put up, with the words that they say, and realize that yes, this is Japan, yes, it's mostly Japanese people, but there are other people as well, and they have feelings. No matter if it's only 1% of people, 2% of people, there are people that see this. There are multi-ethnic people that see this as well, that are on the borderline, that might be like, well, so one of my parents can't go on the elevator. It's like they decided to have the Olympics here too. So, that's like a big thing as well. And the cases are rising. So this is a big dilemma right here. And there's definitely a lot to think about. How do you feel? Are you excited for this Olympics? What would you have done? What would you have done differently? Put your thoughts below. Follow my social media, mostly my Instagram. Also have a blog on East Asian pop culture. The link is always down in the description box below. And remember, be real, stay real, live in the real, and I will be back. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves now.